So we were trying to construct product measure. We have two measure space, okay, and another measure space. Then we want to construct the product space, okay. So for that, so we want to construct measure space with x cross y. So we have already defined for the in that direction we defined the sigma algebra, okay, which is equal to the sigma algebra generated by disjoint union of AI cross BI, direct product of BI equal to 1 to n, generated by all such sets where AI is in script F and BI is in script G. So we have shown that this is a sigma algebra. Sorry, we have shown that that is an algebra, and so we get a sigma algebra. Incidentally, notice that so when we construct through two Lebesgue measure, then we will get the area measure on R2. If we have a Lebesgue measure on R, and we take, I mean, if we take both mu and nu to be Lebesgue measure on R, then we get the product measure as the area measure in R2. And yeah, so the point is, notice.
Sorry for interrupting, but just to confirm that deadline for assignment submission is next Friday, right?
Correct, next Friday.
Okay, cool.
And I also want to ask, shall we have our midterm next Saturday? Is that okay? I mean, you think about it, tell me in the end of this, when this class ends, or we'll discuss it through email. Okay.
Do you mean on 6th February?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know the correct date. It is on, yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Saturday
prefer,
is 6th February, yes. Yeah.
I'd prefer the week after that because I have a presentation on Friday, the day before that.
So you don't want it on Friday also? Saturday also you don't want? Okay.
Yeah, I want it next week. Like that would be better for me.
Okay, week after that, okay.
Yeah.
So only up to Fubini's theory, measure theory, okay? Only the exam is,
Okay.
measure theory, first part of measure theory I will end today, okay, hopefully. So then we will come back to measure theory later, complex measures and other things, you will come back to that later, LP spaces and all those things, you will come back later. So it's up to this Fubini's theorem, we will have exam on 6 plus 7 is 13th, okay? Okay. So if anybody have any, I mean, if you have any objection, you write to me, okay? Okay, so here I want to notice that the Borel sigma, so we have R2 and which has open set. So we will have, what's happening? Yeah. What is this? We have the Borel sigma on R2, which is same as this. Okay, please notice this. And I think this should be easy. So this way is clear. This is clear. This is clear because this sigma algebra, this product sigma algebra is generated by rectangles, AI tensor BI. Since this is clear, since AI tensor B, any A cross B, which is, this is generated by this thing. So the generators are there. A cross B is in B of R2, Borel sigma of R2. Okay. If you take any A in here in B of R and B in B of R, then A cross B is there. So for the other way, to prove other way, I have got something which I'm not able to get rid of it. What is this? It's not going below that. And I've got a line here which I want to get rid of it. Okay, anyway, when we go there, we'll see. Okay. So to prove the other way, you have to prove any open set is contained in this part. So it is enough to prove any open ball is there. So any open ball can be generated by open rectangles. Okay, I mean any open ball. Open ball is just circled. Okay, open circle, and any open ball can be generated by open rectangles. You just consider any point, and then there is a rectangle around that, and you can take countably, you can take rational numbers. I mean R1, R2. Consider. I mean, if you have any, so I'm leaving it as an exercise. It is just clear. I will just tell you orally what is the truth. Okay, any open ball is contained in this B of R, tensor B of R. To prove this, you take any open circle and you take any point, you consider all rational points. Rational points means R1, R2, where both R1 and R2 are rational. Then then there is a rectangle around that, open rectangle around that, which is contained in that ball. You take the union of all those things, which is a countable union, and that is that will be exactly equal to that circle. Okay, so
but we're not talking the disjoint union here, right?
why do you want disjoint union? Because any such rectangle will be there. Then you take countable union. This is just a sigma algebra.
No, but
I'm not saying this is in the algebra generated by that. See, this B of R tensor B of R is the sigma algebra generated by that algebra. The disjoint union is an algebra. That is for our whatever we want to work with something. For that we define that algebra.
Okay.
B of R is not the disjoint union of that is a sigma algebra generated by that. So disjoint union, any union of rectangles is enough. Okay, but we don't want to work with that. That's why we use.
You mean any countable union?
Any countable union, yes, yeah. Any countable union will be there. Okay. So because of that, any circle will be there. So every open set will be there. So that's all. Okay. Okay. So this is just clear. If you want, you just argue it out. And so we have proved it. So we constructed the product sigma algebra. Then we proved the following. Then we consider for, this is, I'm just recalling what we have done. Then for any E in this sigma algebra, which we have defined as through the rectangles. I mean, through the sigma algebra generated by the disjoint union of rectangles. You take any such E, then we consider Ex, okay, equal to all those Y in Y, such that XY is in E. Okay, similarly, Ex for X in X, okay, similarly, EY, okay. We defined these things and we proved that if E is measurable, then Ex corresponding the corresponding sigma algebra, Ex, Ey is measurable, okay. Then we also proved that, let me not recall that, I mean, we also proved that X going to this Ex D, so this is set in D nu. No, this is, wait a minute. Mu of, sorry. So X going to mu of Ex, okay. Then this will be a function, sorry, nu of Ex, no, sorry, this is nu of Ex. Okay, erasing. Ex is a set contained in Y. Okay, I mean, it's in fact a sigma, I mean, when E is measurable, this is in the sigma algebra G. So then you have to integrate with respect to d mu, right? I'm saying stupid. This is not the right thing, sorry. I want to say that those integrals are equal. X going to nu Ex is measurable, okay? Is measurable, and this nu Ex d mu over X equal to mu Ey d nu over Y, right? So this is what we want. So we proved this. We proved all these things, okay? Now we want to, so till we haven't, so these two are equal, then we can define this as the measure of, in the next proposition, this is what we want to define this as the measure of E, okay? So, I mean, this is exactly the Carathéodory extension, but we don't kind of, if we extend it abstractly, then we have to prove the, I mean, it will be difficult to prove the disjoint, I mean, the countable additivity and all that. So that is why we are defining directly for any set. We have defined the measure directly for any set. Okay. So this is the proposition. So we did so. So let me write in full detail. This is in two measure spaces. Okay. Two measure spaces. Okay. Then mu tensor mu, which is by definition equal to integral over x mu of Ex du, which is also equal to integral over y mu of Ey du, is a so these are sigma finite measure space. Let us take these two measure spaces sigma finite. Okay, is a sigma finite measure. On x cross y on this sigma algebra. You have to mention the sigma algebra also. Okay. Okay. It is on this sigma algebra. This is the product sigma algebra. Okay, this is one thing. Then the second thing is, so this is sigma finite. Then, yeah, this is unique. Okay, the uniqueness is clear from because this is the characteristic extension, so this is unique. Okay. Further, if lambda is a measure, this is uniquely determined by this property. Measure on this tensor, this, such that lambda of A cross B equal to mu of A times mu of B, okay, for all A in script F, B in script G, then lambda equal to mu. Okay. Is this coming here? Okay. So uniqueness is clear. Let us prove it. So proof. So uniqueness is clear by the characteristic, because that is the characteristic. This measure is the characteristic extension, so it has to be unique. Okay. I mean, we have a measure defined on the algebra, so it extends to a unique measure on the sigma algebra generated by that, because of that. So we only have to prove that we have already noticed that, I mean, this is of course additive one. We need to verify countable additivity. It's clear on empty set it is 0 and all that. So we need to only verify what we have defined as mu tensor mu is countably additive. Okay, so suppose En is a disjoint set, disjoint collection. Disjoint collection. So then we want to verify this union En. So this is by definition, this is equal to just get rid of this. Okay. Yeah. So this is equal to, by definition, this is integral over x, and it's enough to verify through one definition. There are two ways of defining this. We verify using one definition, mu of Ex d mu. Sorry, Ex mu of union this set X, okay, d mu, right? But then notice that if you have union En X equal to union En X, this is just clear because this is all those Y in union En. I mean, all those Y such that XY is in union En, okay, and that is all. I mean, XY is in union En, so that means that it will be in one of those En. That XY is in one of those En. That means that it XY. I mean, that is in Y. That Y is in ENX. So this is contained in that. I mean, you can easily see that this thing are true. Okay, this is exercise verified. So because of that, this will be a summation over mu of ENX, okay, d mu, n equal to 1 to infinity. Okay. Now these are all positive numbers. As you can see, these are all positive. I mean, these are all positive. Okay, for each x, this is positive. I mean, this is a positive function. This is x going to, this is a measurable function. It's also a positive function. Maybe it's infinity. So this is by MCT, monotone convergence theorem. We have that this integral is equal to, you can take the summation. I mean, summation is a sequence and it's an increasing sequence, right? So any increasing sequence, so monotone convergence theorem, you can take it out. So that's all. So mu of ENX du. And this is precisely mu tensor mu of En.
Sir, what did you write here? Like after like integration,
Equality.
mu of union n equals to 1 to infinity ENX d mu. Like after that line, what did you write?
In the equality, where exactly? I am here.
No. Before that, like
Here. The side in the here.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
I am just saying union of ENX is union of ENX. Let me write it again. We are taking the projection, no, the section, no. So union of En X. Okay, this is a section, X section of union of En. That is just union of all those En X. Okay. Is it okay?
Yes.
So you can just, I mean, when I write the definition, you can just spell out the definition and it will be clear. Okay. Okay. So because of that, you can sum it out because nu is a measure. Now it's just a, I mean, which is just union, nu of union. This is just ENX is here. So you can bring the X inside. It's just, I mean, this is here, it is a single set. Okay. I mean, there is no union here. Union is a set and it's a X section of the set. Now you are taking the X inside. Now this becomes union of ENX. Okay. Is that right? No, here union of En. So I mean, I have just missed out one step. Here you will have this set nu of union of En X. Okay, is that okay? So then you take the summation. You are using the countable additivity of nu and monotone convergence theorem. So from that it follows. Okay, clear? Someone say yes.
Yes.
Is it okay? Okay. Okay. So sigma additivity is also clear. Now if xn, some xn, union of xn equal to x and n equal to 1 to infinity and union of m equal to 1 to infinity, yn equal to y, or we can take it to be n itself, okay, y. Then xn cross yn, this union will be equal to x cross y. And if this has mu of xn is finite, then this has nu of yn is finite, then mu of xn, sorry, the product measure of that is also finite. Okay? There is nothing to prove here. Okay, so sigma finite is clear. Sigma finite. Okay, that is just direct. Okay, so we have proved, what have we proved? We have proved the existence of product measure, and we have proved that it is indeed, I mean, we defined the product measure, we have proved that it is indeed sigma finite, and the product measure exists, and it is unique, and it is sigma finite. Okay. Okay, so this is the product. So now notice that this is in, if you have Lebesgue measure is the general.
Sir, this union should be xn cross ym, right? That whole union. We
Yeah,
have written
X and
both
cross
n.
Y. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
No, like just ym, right? It should be n and m.
Oh, you can take this. Yeah, correct. Sorry, correct. Yeah, correct. This is an. Is that what you are saying? No, because it is increasing, it's okay. I think you can take n. Otherwise, you don't. You need to do that. But because it is increasing, this is okay. You can take the same n.
Okay,
And you
this
can
is
do it.
increasing.
Yeah, because it is increasing, you can take it to be
Okay.
increasing. Suppose otherwise you have to do something, but if you can take it to be increasing. Okay, increasing.
Yeah, yeah.
This is just the definition of say. Okay, this is increasing. If it increases, then you don't need to. Anyway, this is a trivial point. Okay, that's not important. So the thing is, notice that, I mean, if you take the Lebesgue measure on real line, and again a Lebesgue measure on real line, and take the product measure, the Lebesgue measure is the length. It's a generalization of length. And notice that the lambda cross lambda tensor lambda is the area, and that is true for any, I mean, any rectangle. That is the case. Okay, so it's just the generalization of area. But the point is, Lebesgue measure, if you take the Lebesgue sigma algebra, it is complete. But then this product measure may not be complete. For instance, this is an example, a counter example. To take, let us take Lebesgue measure R with G, the Lebesgue, so Lebesgue sigma algebra I want to take. So maybe I will use this notation. Okay, this is the Lebesgue sigma algebra. Lebesgue sigma algebra is the character. I mean, when you use the character-theoretic extension for Lebesgue measure, you get a sigma algebra, the complete sigma algebra. Okay, so this is the Lebesgue sigma algebra. Okay. Lebesgue sigma algebra and lambda. This is Lebesgue measure. Okay. Lebesgue measure. Okay. Then lambda cross on lambda on this L tensor L is not complete. I mean, L is complete. This is lambda on L is complete. That's our we have seen that the Lebesgue sigma algebra is complete sigma algebra. The Lebesgue measure on the Lebesgue sigma algebra is complete. Complete means all null sets are in the sigma algebra. Sorry, all negligible sets are in the sigma algebra. Null set is something which is a measurable set which has measure 0. Null set is something which is contained in some, I mean, negligible set is something which is contained in null set. Okay. So for instance, let A be something in the Lebesgue algebra. Okay. And B, we have constructed a non-measurable set. Okay. Non-Lebesgue measurable set. Okay. Then as a, and lambda of A equal to 0. We take a Lebesgue set, a measurable Lebesgue set whose Lebesgue measure is 0, lambda A is 0. Okay. Then lambda tensor lambda of A cross, you take the whole 0, 1. Any set, any measurable set. Okay. B is contained in 0, 1, which is not measurable, equal to 0. Right? But so, I mean, this is 0. By monotone probability, this will also have the, whatever that, what did we call that? We defined through the infimum, no, the subadditive measure, which is not a real measure. So that will have that of the A cross B, but A cross B is not measurable. A cross B is contained in A cross 0, 1. This is a null set, okay? This A cross 0, 1 is a null set. Right, null set. It is a measurable set and it's a null set. But A cross B is a set contained in that. So it's a negligible set. Negligible set is a set which is contained in a null set, but not measurable. But not measurable. Why it's not measurable? Because if it is measurable, then B should be in the sigma algebra. I mean, that's what we have proved. If you have a set E, then you take the section, then, I mean, if you take any section, that has to be in that. Okay. If A cross B is measurable, I mean, that is measurable means it is in the L tensor. If this is in L tensor L, okay, then some singleton tensor B, I mean, this B, this whatever, we get a B, you fix a singleton X, using that you take any element here, then you get the set B, no? Then B is in L. Okay. Because we have already proved, we have proved that if a set is E is there, then you take any section, then that is in the corresponding sigma algebra. So because of that, that is not true. So if you take two complete sigma algebra and take the product, then the product need not be measurable. The product need not be complete. Once again, let me get rid of this line. Oh my. What happened here? The whole file has vanished. I don't know what did I do. I don't see the file here. 10, 11, 9, 7.
Maybe that J. Isn't that J?
It may be in the recently deleted file. No, it's not even there.
Sir,
I'm not hearing you. You're saying something I'm not hearing.
that,
Huh?
I think it is that last file, J or something.
Yeah, but that file is empty. There's nothing.
It's recently open.
Hmm?
Okay.
There is nothing in that. That was the file.
Okay.
I don't know how it became J and the file completely vanished. Anyway, I will start fresh. It's okay. Oh, again, this line is still there. It's writing here. Okay. That stupid line is there, but anyway, it's writing here. It was not writing earlier. Anyway, this is okay. I'm going to say something new, so it's okay. So, okay, that is just an example to prove for Fibonacci theorem. I mean, that is just the example to show that the product measure may not be complete. Okay. Now we want to prove what is called a Tonelli's theorem. The statement of the theorem is long, but the proof is very easy. Okay, this is the Tonelli's theorem. Okay, the theorem is following. So again, we have two measure space. Okay. Measure space. Then we consider the product measure space. We want to consider the integral. I mean, this just says that the integral with respect to the product measure is the iterator integral, which you must be, I mean, in your second course in calculus, multivariable calculus, you must have done the double integral and other thing. So it is just that. So then f is a function from x cross y. Okay, so Tonelli's theorem is for positive functions. Then we have Fubini's theorem. Fubini's theorem is for a general function. Okay, this is a function. Then it's a measurable function. It's a positive measurable function. Okay. Then the first one says that for all x in x, okay, for any x, for any arbitrary but fixed x in x, okay, this is x is fixed and the function is in y. Y going to f of xy. Okay, x is fixed. Okay, for all fixed x. Okay, fixed x. This function is measurable. I mean, this is measurable with respect to the second sigma algebra, with respect to G. Okay, the sigma algebra. So similarly, for all y in y, this function x going to fxy is measurable. Like, with respect to script f. Okay, this is the first one. Then the second one, so now you have two variables x and y, and you can integrate, you can fix x and you can integrate with respect to one of the variable. Okay, then you get a function in x, and that function is measurable. Okay, so x going to, so this, when you fix x, this is a function, I mean, when you fix x, the function in y is measurable. Okay, so for any fixed x, you can integrate f of xy as a function. I mean, it's a positive function. You need not worry about the existence of the integral. It can be infinity, doesn't matter. You can still integrate the function. Okay, so you take the integral with respect to the second function, second measure, nu, okay, y. But then this becomes a function in x, and this function is measurable. Okay, with respect to the script here, the first one. Similarly, y going to integral over x f of xy d mu is measurable. Okay, with respect to g. Okay. Okay, shall I move up? Okay. So these are the two things. Then we have the following identity, third one. So which is just you take the integral over x star y of this fxy, which you can do, of course, d of mu tensor nu. Okay, this is a single measure. Mu tensor nu is a single measure, and with respect to that, you are integrating the two variable function. But it's just I mean, it's actually with the variable is one. It's a two coordinate variable, but it's a, I mean, we consider this a single function. Okay, this is equal to, you first integrate with respect to x of this function f of xy d mu. Okay, then you get a function which we know that it is measurable. That's the second statement. Okay, then you measure with respect to d mu. So this is true. And similarly, this is equal to integral over x integral over y f of xy d mu d mu. Okay. So this iterated integral you must be knowing when studied in the multivariable calculus, integral calculus, in the second course or second or third, I don't know. So calculus course, and but that is how this is justified. Okay, this is the integral with respect to area measure. This is integral with respect to area measure. This is with the integral. I mean, if you take Lebesgue measure, for example, it's an integral of the product measure. These are all integral with respect to the corresponding measure, mu and nu. But this is just an iterated integral. You just integrate it, you get a, this is a function of one variable. You fix x, it's a function of one variable. And then you integrate it for each x. Then you get a measurable function in x. You integrate that function, okay, in y. Okay, so this is a few minutes theorem. The statement is long, but the proof is very easy. I mean, we have two important theorems as ingredients for the proof. The first theorem is any measurable function can be approximated by simple functions. That is number one. So we have to verify this for simple functions. Then using simple functions, using the convergence, we have to verify for any function. To verify that, we use monotone convergence theorem. That's all. Okay, so that's what we have to do. So suppose E is a set in here. Okay, then for f equal to 1e, okay, this is a function. This is a function in x cross y. Okay, the theorem holds. Why does it hold? If you take f equal to 1e, then this is just one, I mean, one of ey. Okay, I mean, if you take a x here, then this is if you fix x, then this becomes ey. This becomes ex. Sorry, this becomes yeah. No, if you fix x, then this becomes 1 ex. Ex is contained in y. Okay, so 1 ex is a function in y, right? This function is y going to 1 exy. This function for f equal to 1. Okay, if you take f equal to 1e, that's what this function becomes. Similarly, for this function, I mean, it's enough to prove once the first statement in all these things. Okay, the second statement will follow. There are two statements in all of them. It's enough to prove the first statement. The second statement, this proof is exactly similar. You just have to interchange x and y. Okay, so the first statement is because that is the thing. Then this will become just the new measure of that. Okay, this function is just. I mean, I'm writing it here. This is not part of the thing. I mean, x going to nu of ex when f equal to 1. Okay. That's why we have already proved that such a function is measurable. Okay, we have already proved. And this just says that this integral over this just, I mean, mutant, this is just the definition of mutants are new using whatever the definition we have. Okay, so this just says that, this thing says that mutants are new equal to that integral of nu of ex du. Okay, that's what this says. If f equal to 1. Okay. Anyway, when f equal to 1e, the statement is what we have already proved. Okay. So the theorem, the whole theorem is true for one indicator function. So, and any simple function is just sum of disjoint, sum of indicator functions of disjoint, sum of scalar times the indicator function of disjoint sets. So hence the theorem, all the statement is true for simple functions. Okay. Now we have to verify it for any function. So suppose, for a general measurement, for any general f, choose simple functions fn, which increases to f. Okay, this is a simple function, so two variable. I mean, we have proved simple. I mean, any measurable function can be approximated. I mean, can be written as increasing union of simple function in any measure space. Okay. It doesn't matter whether it is product measure or something. So we take simple functions fn, which increases to this f. Okay, right? Then what happens? Then let us consider this fn xy. So for fixed x, this function fnx, so this just says for fixed, I mean, this is true for all xy. This increases, if you fix any point, that increases to that. So in particular, this will increase to fxy. Okay, this implies that function y going to fxy is measurable for all y x in, sorry, for all x in. For all x in x. Okay, similarly, the other statement. So this is true. And this also implies that integral fn xy, okay, we are integrating with respect to this by MCT, by monotone convergence theorem. MCT, this increases to fxy, okay, d nu, for all x in x. I mean, you fix an x, then this is an increasing function. You fix an x, then this is an increasing function in one variable that increases to f of xy. Okay, this, I mean, fixing the x, whatever that function. So the integral will also increase. That is by MCT. This is true for all x. Okay, so this function, so in particular, so we have already proved that these are all measurable. Okay, I mean, we have verified that for simple function, this function is measurable. These are all measurable. When fn is simple, since fn is simple, we have verified for simple function this is true. This function x going to integral fn xy d nu is measurable. Okay. Now these functions, this may not be simple function. This is over y. Okay. This may not be simple function, but these are all measurable function which increases to this function. Okay. So this implies x going to fxy. I mean, you just have to argue it out, the whole thing. okay, over y is also measurable, because that is the increasing limit of measurable function is measurable. So because of that, this is measurable. Okay. Okay. That is true. And also again by MCT, okay, integral. This integral, these are all, I mean, also by MCT. Notice that this is also increasing, right? These functions, this integral, I mean, notice, which I have said it, no, I have already said that function is increasing, right? So because of that, by MCT, you can take another integral over x, because this integral, which is a function, whatever I have written integrand I am writing here, these are all function in x, okay, g nu of y, okay, this is a function in x, okay, they increases, okay, so because of that, this will also increase. This will also increase to integral x, so the corresponding integral over y, fxy, d nu, then d mu, okay, again by MCT, right? So these things increase there. On the other hand, this is, we have verified for simple function. The theorem is verified for simple function. So this is true. This is x cross y of fn xy d mu tensor mu, right? Because we have verified the theorem for this. This is equal to this. Okay. On the other hand, this by MCT again will increase to integral of x cross y f xy d mu tensor mu. Okay. So these two things should be equal. This is equal to this, because we have verified the theorem for simple function, and that increases to that by MCT again. But because these fn's are simple function which are increased into this is also true by MCT. We are applying MCT, I mean, very generously everywhere. Okay, so because of that we get it. So these things imply integral f of d mu tensor mu over x cross y equal to the iterated integral. Okay. Similarly, for other statement, I mean, I have proved it for you have two statements everywhere. It's the same proof. Okay. Other part of the statement. Okay. That's all. I think it's clear. Any doubt? We have used the fact that any function can be approximated by simple function. Then we verified the theorem for simple function. All the three statements we verified for simple function. Then we used MCT elaborately everywhere, and we got the proof. Okay, carefully. That's all. Okay. So there is really nothing in the proof. Nothing complicated in the proof. Okay. Now we want to do something for the general theorem. This is what is usually called as Fubini's theorem. Maybe Fubini-Tarandi, we can put both the names. So this theorem says the following. So again, we assume that measure spaces, and f is a function from x cross y, okay, to real line, is integrable. By when I say integrable, it's also measurable. It's an integrable function. Is integrable. Okay. So when it is integrable, then we want to say that that's the other is integrable. Okay. So this is a function integrable in two variables. Okay. Then the first statement is we want to consider we want to fix x and consider the function in y, and fix y and consider the function in x. Okay, then this function f going to this fxy. Okay, sorry, I want to say for y going to say x, then for fixed all but fixed x in x. Okay, this function, let me not say this for fixed x because I'm going to make the statement in the here itself. Then for this function y going to fxy is integrable new almost everywhere x in x. Okay. This may not be integrable for all x because we are integrating. I mean, because we will conclude the integrability using the integration. Okay, because of that, this is new integrable. This is, I'm sorry, this is mu. This is, I mean, this is integrable with respect to mu. This function is new integrable. New integrable means it integrable with respect to nu for mu almost everywhere x in x. The statement is clear. You are fixing x and considering this two variable as a function in y. Okay, and that function is new. I mean, this is a function in y, capital Y, and that function is new integrable with respect to the measure mu for almost all x in x with respect to mu. This almost everywhere statement is with respect to mu. Okay. Similarly, this function x going to f of xy is mu integrable, okay, for nu almost everywhere y in y. Okay. That is the first statement. The second statement is we integrate the function f of xy with respect to d nu y. Okay. Then this function, we consider this function is mu integrable. Okay. And this function y going to, as I said, the theorem is over y. The statement of the theorem is long. Proof is very easy. F of xy d mu x. Okay. This is over x. This is y. Okay. Is new integrable. Okay. New integrable. Okay. So the statement is clear. Okay. Proof. So we have, I mean, we are saying f is integrable with respect to mu tensor nu. Okay, that is the first statement. And we have to take integrable function. What does it mean? Integrable with respect to mu tensor nu. That is, what does it mean? Integral over x cross y mod f of xy. Okay, d mu. I mean, you may think that this is a statement in two variable or something. I mean, this is a statement with respect to product measure, but this can be evaluated by iterated integral because this is a positive function. Okay, so this function can be evaluated. So you have a positive. So when you have given a f, you consider mod f, which is a positive function, which you can integrate. You don't need to consider integration with respect to product measure, which you can integrate, which you can iterate the integral because it's a positive function. So you can iterate the integral and consider that, see whether it is smaller than infinity. Then, oh, I forgot to write down one more statement. I'm sorry. I mean, then let me not write it. Then, whatever the statement earlier, which I will show you here, this statement, okay? I don't want to write the whole thing here. We call this as star, okay? You remember the statement. There is no, I mean, this is just a statement in F. Where you can write the double integral as iterated integral. That's what this says, okay? Then, that statement further, then further, this is the third one. then star holds. Okay. You can write the integral f as iterated integral. You can integrate with respect to x, then integrate with respect to y. Okay, or y and x, whichever the way. It doesn't matter. But this is true only for integrable function. That's what this says. So f is integrable. So this is true. Okay. This implies integral of f plus and integral of f minus. They are positive functions. So that is also smaller than infinity. Okay. This is also a non-x plus y with respect to mu tensor mu. Okay. That is also true. They are also integrable because modulus, this is just the sum of these two things. So they are also integrable. Okay. So then what happens? Then all the other statement, this, then, so then you can, then they, I mean, then applying the Tonelli's theorem, applying Tonelli to f plus and f minus, we get that integral. I mean, this is true. Integral f plus, for example, integral f plus is equal to f plus of xy with respect to d nu y, then integral with respect to d mu x, right? Now this is over x cross y. This is smaller than infinity. But then you have, so this is over first with respect to y, then with respect to x, okay? Then this integral is smaller than infinity, okay? Now you have consider the single integral. This integral over integral something is smaller than infinity, okay? That means as a function, that the function inside that, okay, that should be integrable almost everywhere. I mean, sorry, the function integral inside that, that will be finite almost everywhere. I mean, this is an extended, these are all f plus is an, f plus is an extended real valued function, right? You take f plus, see, the Tonelli's theorem is true for f plus and f minus because they are positive function. Okay, now so integral of f plus equal to, that is the iterated integral. Now you have the integral over x. The first you have integral over x, then integral over y. Okay. What is this? One second. Now we have the integral over x and then the integral over y here. Now the integral over x of whatever the function inside, okay, with the whatever the function inside, you have the integral to be finite. So the integrand should take the value infinity, should the value take infinity only in a null set, right? I am saying that this implies this integral over y, this f plus xy, okay, d nu y is not equal to infinity almost everywhere with respect to mu. Correct? Or less than infinity, not equal to means less than infinity. This we have proved, no? If we have a positive function, integral f is, if we have a positive function, integral f is less than infinity, this implies mod of, I mean, in the last presentation, he explained it, no? So if integral, we have verified it, integral f is smaller than infinity for f greater than or equal to 0, then the set mu of the set f equal to infinity is 0. Okay, we have gone through this. Because of that, this is true. Okay, so similarly, so this is what this. So that's the first statement. That's the first statement. This function y going to this function is integrable mu almost everywhere x, which is the first statement, right? Then the second statement, so this means this satisfies the f plus f minus both satisfies this. Okay. Similarly, f minus also satisfies this. So this implies this equation, this function, sorry, y going to f of xy is which is equal to, I mean, this is equal to f plus minus f minus. Okay. Whose mod is, if you take the mod f plus f minus, okay, is new integrable for all mu almost everywhere x. Just carefully go through. Let me explain. You have the integral of f plus is finite with respect to the product measure. So big, I mean, integral f is a positive function. So the Tonelli's theorem is true. That is why we can iterate the integral. But this integral of the f plus is finite. So you have the double integral which is finite. So if you consider the outer integral, the first integral over x, then the integrand has to be, because the integral is finite, the integral should take the value infinity only in a measured zero set. So that is what this statement, I have just rewritten that statement. Similarly, all the other statement will follow. Then the final Fubini's theorem, Fubini's theorem is iterated integral is true because it's separately true for f plus and f minus. Okay. And these things we can only apply for the integral function only. So the theorem is proved. The rest of the thing you have to go through, you have to. Okay. Is there a problem with the state? Is the theorem clear? You just go through it, it is clear. Okay. The theorem is true. Now I want to give a counter example. So we have assumed all these things, we have assumed the sigma, this is a sigma finite. Where did we assume that? That's because we have assumed in many places. We have assumed, we have proved the proof, we assume simple functions and all that. It converges and all those things. All these things are true for only for sigma finite measure space. Okay. We have assumed sigma finiteness. Okay. So this is not true when this is not sigma finite. That is one thing. So I give two examples. First example is the iterated integral exists does not mean, you can take the iterated integral for something, but then that does not mean the double integral, the integral with respect to the product measure exists. That is not true. That may be infinity. Of course, if it is smaller than infinity, if it is integrable, if the mod is smaller than infinity, then we can iterate it. For instance, you take this function. Okay. With respect to Lebesgue measure. Lebesgue measure, you consider fxy equal to xy divided by x square plus y square. Okay. Then the iterated integral is between -1 to 1 of xy x square plus y square. We take the iterated integral, but this is just an odd function between them, so it is 0. The first integral, if you take the first integral, the iterated integral, okay, then this is 0. Okay. On the other hand, what happens? But this function is not integrable in this. So what is going to do? We want to do that. I want to. This is not a positive function. Integral mod xy square plus y square. But then this is a positive function. So of course we can write it as iterated integral. This we can write it as iterated integral. Then you can change to polar coordinate. Because it's positive, you can write it as iterated integral. You can change to polar coordinate. So that will be between 0 to 2 pi. Because I hope you know all these things. So, okay, this becomes r cos theta, r sin theta. So it becomes r sin theta cos theta So this will become, maybe I'll put a square here. Same thing. Okay, then this becomes r power 4. But then you need the Jacobian or dr d theta. So this becomes, so this will be greater than 0 to 1 integral. I mean, that if you take 0 to 2 pi, you will get 2 pi or something, which is greater than some constant. Let me not worry about that. Constant times 1 by r dr. Okay, which is infinity. What am I trying to say? Let me think about it. This is not an integrable function. Yeah. So iterated integral exists does not imply the function is not integrable. The function is not integrable means then the integral does not is not defined for that function. I mean, this two variable function. This two variable function is not an integrable function. It's not an integrable function. That's what we have verified here. We just take the mod but the iterated integral exists. Okay. So iterated integral exists does not mean that the original function is integrable. And we cannot, I mean, when it's not integrable, we cannot talk about the integral of this. There's no definition for that. Okay. So this is one thing. This is one thing. Then another example is Fubini's theorem or Connelly's theorem is not true.
Sir, there's a lot of noise coming from your mic.
Is that so? I didn't do anything. Maybe not from my mic.
It seems fine.
Yeah, I'm getting some noise from some other person's mic. Okay. Example: Connelly's theorem is not true for if one of them is non-sigma finite. If not sigma finite. Okay. If one of the measure is not sigma finite. So let us take what? Consider first. Let us take 0, 1 with respect to the power sigma algebra, power set, and you take the counting measure. Okay, mu is counting measure. You can take counting measure and count with respect to counting measure. This is a non-sigma finite. Okay, this is not sigma finite. Okay, you cannot write it as a union of sets with finite measure. And the another set, let it be another set be 0, 1 with respect to Lebesgue measure. Okay. Okay. Then you consider mu tensor. This is lambda. Lambda. Then you consider mu tensor lambda on x cross y. I want to say that this is not, I mean, Connelly's theorem is not true. Okay. Consider the diagonal delta, which is equal to xx. Okay. X in 0, 1. Which is of course contained in 0, 1 cross 0, 1. So the diagonal is measurable. Is it measurable? Because you consider this diagonal, you can write it like this: 0, 1 by n cross 0, 1 by n. Okay. Union, disjoint union of k equal to 1 to n, no? One by n, 2 by n, cross 1 by n, 2 by n, like this, disjoint union where k by n, k plus 1 by n, like this. Okay. Then of course n minus 1 by n, n1. Okay. Cross the same thing, cross the same thing, cross the same thing. Okay. You can see that the intersection, if you take this set, call it delta n, then integral delta n equal to delta. Okay. So delta is measurable, diagonal is measurable. Okay. So 1 delta is a measurable function. Now you integrate 1 delta. with respect to d mu tensor lambda. You take the iterated integral. Okay. First with respect to which is x. X is the counting measure. Then this measure. Okay. So then d lambda. So what will you do? You have to consider, I mean, this is a 1 delta. So this is just going to be the section delta A, delta y section of that. Okay, this will become delta mu of delta y. But when you fix y, you are going to get only 1 point in there. The counting measure of that point is 1, right? Okay. So this is just going to be the integral, the function 0 to 1, 1 with respect to d lambda, which is just 1, right? 1 delta, I mean, you are going to fix a x, fix a y, and consider the delta y here. That is what you are going to get. Mu of the delta y you will get. So when you fix a x, then that section will be only 1 point because it is a diagonal. You will get only 1 point corresponding to each point. So you will get the delta x. On the other hand, integral over integral over x of integral over y of this 1 delta with respect to d mu, sorry, this is d mu. This is Lebesgue measure, sorry, d lambda d mu. Okay. On the other hand, if you take again you delta x, again you will get a singleton set, and the delta of that set is lambda of a singleton set is 0. Okay, so this is integral of 0 d mu. I mean not 0. This is empty set. Sorry, one of the value is 0. Sorry, the value is 0. Sorry, I mean mu of that thing is, I mean the function is 0. If you take Lebesgue measure of a singleton set, you get 0. So this is equal to 0. If you integrate 0 function with respect to any measure, that is 0, which is not equal to 1. So for non-sigma finite measure, the iterated integral are not equal. Okay. So I think we are past 6. So if you have any question, you can ask. And also, yeah.
Sir, so the recording for lecture 9 is not available.
Lecture 9 is not available. I have already uploaded long back, no?
No, like it's only like the part that is available is only the presentation. That was my presentation actually.
No, I uploaded both. Let me check it. Okay, I haven't deleted any file, so it should be in my computer. So I should be able to download if it is there. I think I don't uploaded it. Maybe I didn't put it in the playlist or something. Let me check. Okay, 9A, 9B or something. I have been.
Yeah, so in the playlist only 9A is present.
Okay, let me check.
9B is also there.
9B is also there, I think. Shall I check it now? 1 second, I'll go to YouTube and check it. Let me check it in the playlist.
I don't see 9B actually. So.
You can see?
I don't see 9B actually in the playlist. So.
It's not on the playlist, but it's uploaded. Like it's on. It's not on the playlist, but it's uploaded. It's in the.
Okay, I will add it to the playlist. Maybe I didn't add it to the playlist. Okay, I will add it.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe it will be there in the end. I don't know how to put it in the middle. Yeah, I will do that. Okay. Okay then. So where is Zoom? Okay. So sure. Okay. So shall we end? Okay. Okay. Any question?
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, what is the mid-sem pattern going to be, like the exam pattern?
So I will not ask any question from what I have done. Okay, I mean, it will be based on that. You can use notes. Of course, I mean, I believe you won't search in the internet. So because it will be difficult for me to find problems which are not at all available. I should believe you. But even then, the time will be very strictly 3.5 hours or something, 3 hours or something. But I can give you half an hour more or something. Then you have to upload it in the Moodle. I have to figure it out how to do all those things. By next week, I think hopefully I will be able to. Okay. So there will be some choices, and there will be a good number of choices, and you have to solve the problems. Okay. Fine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Shall I end the session? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.